Hello friends, welcome to the School of Sport. In this video, I'm going to talk about golf. Rules are very easy, but a lot of people think it's boring and I will help you to explain the beauty of golf. It is fantastic sport. I will explain the beauty and the rules. Primary objective is very simple. There's a ball, you hit the ball into the hole. That's all. That's all the rules are. But if you look at the ball, the size of the ball and the hole is very similar. Hole is just twice the size of the ball. So players need to be very precise. That's the interesting component. It's very precise sport. And a lot of people know about golf ball. There's a golf ball and there's a club to hit the ball into the hole. What people don't know about is they have 14 clubs in the bag. So for every shot, they need to pick the one best club that is suitable for that particular shot. These 14 is a limitation from the association. Players would want to take 20 clubs with them to play, but they only can take 14, so they need to optimize which 14 do they want to use to play the game. Now there are multiple holes in golf, but they all have some similar components in them. Let's take a look at one of the hole. This is one of the hole. The point from where they start playing is called the tee box or the teeing ground. And the place where there's a hole, there's a green. It's called as green because the grass is like a carpet. It's amazing quality grass. Ball can just roll like it's like a carpet. It's beautiful grass. And then there's a fairway. Fairway is like a park grass. It's a decent grass, but you cannot roll ball in a controlled way. You need to hit the ball over here. Then there's a rough area. Nobody want to hit ball in the rough area because then it becomes very challenging to play. So players' preference is to put the ball into the green. If not, then at least somewhere in this fairway area, they are in trouble if ball goes into the rough area. Now they need to use different clubs. So let's talk about the types of club. Whenever they start the play from the teeing area, they are allowed to have a teeing pin. They put the ball onto the teeing pin and use the driver, which has the highest range. They use driver to play the first shot because they want to make sure ball goes as far as it can go. So they use driver, play the first shot, and wherever the ball lands, they need to play the next shot from that point. In this case, the player will move with the 14 clubs near to the ball where it landed. Now, because ball is closed, they don't want to use the driver, so they use different set of clubs called as iron. They use the iron, hit the ball near to the hole. Now they have different types of irons. You see here a type of iron. They have a different range and different loft. This would hit more high, this would hit more in the length. So this is 110 yards, 170 yards. Player need to make a choice which club do they want to use at a particular moment in the game. So decision making is important. If the ball is closer to hole, they can use wedges. The range of wedges is 60 yards to 90 yards. So they need to make all these decisions when they are playing. Once ball goes onto the green, then they use putter. So since the green is like a carpet, they don't need to lift the ball. They just hit the ball into the hole. It just rolls it out. But the green has a slope in it. So the player cannot just directly hit it because there might be slope here. So they need to calculate the slope. It might be they need to hit here and the slope would take the ball into the hole. So see, there is some slope. So that is also tricky. Once it got onto the green, they sit down, look at the elevations and angles and do the calculation to put the ball into the hole. In this case, if you remember, player played the first shot, second shot, and then the third shot. So typically we would see that it takes 3 shots to hit the ball into the hole. So they call it par 3. Basically, they expect you to hit the ball in 3 shots. It's a par 3 hole. Let's take a different hole, which would be a par 4 hole. So in this scenario, if you see, player might hit the first shot, that might land here. The second shot might land here, third shot onto the greens, and fourth shot into the hole. So this would be a par 4 hole. Every hole has a par associated with it, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 par holes. Now, if we talk about the elements we talked in the last hole, this would be the teeing box or teeing ground. They start from here. This would be called a green. It's an amazing lawn, the best lawn in the world. This would be a fairway. Players would try to hit ball onto this fairway, and then there's a rough. One extra element that you can see in this hole is the hazard. If ball goes into the hazard, then they are in trouble, because hazard is like sand. It becomes very tough to hit the ball from the sand. Or a hazard can be a water. If ball goes into the water, then they cannot really play it. So they get a +1 point penalty. So they need to be cautious. They cannot hit it really hard. It can go into the water. If they hit it short, then they cannot really aim for the greens. So they need to hit the ball in the optimum area, and not necessarily wherever they want to hit it, it will go there. So they need to take that uncertainty into account, and they need to make a decision which club they want to use it. So that makes the golf very interesting part. Now we'll talk about different type of shots. Since we talked about different type of clubs, elements of the golf area, now let's talk about types of shot. This shot, the first shot, is called the driver shot, or driver shot because they are using driver, where player try to hit the ball as far as they can. The second one is called fairway shot because the player is hitting shot from the fairway area. It's called a fairway shot. Third type of shot is called approach shot, when they are very close to the greens and they are trying to approach to the green or hit it into the hole. It's called the approach shot. They are approaching to the finishing point. Another type of shot is pitching or chipping. So if a ball is in bunker, known as sand, then they need to use pitching or chipping because they want to take the ball out of the bunker. Or if they are very close to the hole, then they want to use chip the ball so that it goes into the greens very easily. The last one is putting. As we talked about it before, when the ball is onto the greens, this is the greens, then they use this putter because now they just need to roll the ball, but it is tricky. They have slopes on the green, so they need to sit down, look at the slopes, estimate how the ball would go in there. So that's about the types of clubs, elements of the golf course, and the type of shots they play. Now let's talk about the scoring. Over here, if you see, it's a par 5, which means we expect players to hit the ball into the hole in 5 shots. So you would see two elements, shots and score. So we expect them to hit it in 5 shots. If they hit it in 5 shots, then the score is 0 because we expected. You didn't do anything exceptional. You just did what we expected. If you do exceptional, which means if players hit in 4 shots, then score becomes -1. If they do it in 3, -2, so on, so forth. So the negative score is preferable. And then there are different terms. So if you hit 1 under par, which means, let's say it's a par 3 hole, you hit it in 1 under, which means 2, then you would call it birdie. If it's under 2, you would call it eagle. So depending upon what par hole is it and how many shots you hit, you can use different terms. If you go over it, then your score becomes positive. So it's a 5 par hole, you hit it in 6 shot, it's called bogey, and you get +1 point. So the more the negative score, the better the player is. But don't make a mistake that because you are getting negative marks in your exams, you are a good golf player. It doesn't work like that. So keep that in mind. A good player has a negative score. Let's take a look at a final score. Typically, a golf tournament would have 18 holes. So let's take a look at a first hole, par 3. So we expected them to hit it in 3 shots. Is a good player, hit it in 2 shots, score is -1. Average player, it's 3 par, they did it in 2, -1. Same. Hole 2, par 3, player took 4 shots, so got +1. Average player took 5 shots, so they got +2 because they hit it 2 more shots than the par. At the end of the game, they go to the first hole, second, third, fourth, and so on. They go to the 18th hole. It takes around 4 hours. Really, it's a big game, so it takes 4 hours, and at the end they sum up the score. So good players mostly would have negative score, as you can see here. Not so good player would have a positive score, 14, as you can see here. The rules are simple, but the elements, the beauty is amazing. They need to make the right judgment, need to make the decision focused and concentration. It requires really good control over the mind. And on top of all these elements, you require a lot of money to play golf. My objective was to explain the rules and the beauty of it. I hope I was successful.